start, I should thank Mr. Yoganand for giving me the opportunity. I know him for over 2 decades now. When I was in Times of India, where I spent 17 years of my career, I had met him in his early first of the projects, and I used to interview him those days. Last year, during the last election, we worked from his office. General elections also we worked. Of course, I started my days with the Rashtriya Swayam Sevak Sangh, still there. In fact, just last week, we had been to Khammam to launch the Sangh initiative called the Entrepreneur Cell, which was setting up in every district in India. India has 763 districts. Each district will have an entrepreneur cell, not just skill development, entrepreneur. That's a different topic altogether. Before I start, let me just tell you that there is one pitch which always KTR and others ask. Modi ji promised 2 crore jobs in a year. Where are those jobs? Now, I asked people, I challenged people across, because I got 70,000 followers on Facebook. So I asked, even on Twitter, I have a good following. So I asked, can somebody send me that video where Modi ji promised this? Till date, nobody has done it. One guy sent me a video where he said, Congress ne 1 crore job in the 2019 elections, 2014 election, Congress promised 1 crore jobs in a year. So Modi ji said, agar wo 1 crore bolta, main bhi bolta hu, main 2 crore dunga. That's the words he used. He never said, I'll give it. Okay, forget it, even if he said it. There's one scheme that we all missed in this presentation, which is not a part of this one, but I'll just tell you in just about 2 minutes. The Mudra Yojana. As of last month, 35.36 crore people, not loans, not amount, 35.4 crores, it must be 36 crores now, people took loans through Mudra. Okay? Now, assuming that about 20 to 30% of them will be top-up loans. So all of us do that, isn't it? We take a home loan and then we top it up to do our interiors or whatever it is. Discount that. So bring it down to 28 or 27 crores. 27 crore individuals took loans, and this scheme started in 2015, not in 2014. By the time it started, it was May 2015. Now, assuming it is a small lathe machine worker in Firozguda or a small sewing machine unit run by a lady, that person would work and would also put an assistant, even if it's a shop. So multiply 28 into 2. How many would that be? 56 crores. How many jobs did Modi ji promise per year? Or said to have promised? 2 crores. Multiply that with 8 crores is 16. He has done double that. So next time somebody tells you this, give this answer back to them with data. Because I'm a person who goes on television channels and fights for the party. Started, as I said, my beginnings were in Barkatpura, where I lived. So Sangh Karyala is just there. The early days, I remember, there was a gentleman who was a hero for us, a god for us. His name was George Fernandez, because I come from a railway family. My father was a railway engineer, bridge engineer, who died in 2001. And my father was the one who built that 3rd bridge across the Godavari in Rajahmundry, where you see the bus and the train. He was in charge of that project for almost 5.5 years. Okay, now, one day George Fernandez was a hero for us because he fought that famous strike against Indira Gandhi, the famous railway strike where the entire nation came to a halt because of an ego of a lady called Indira Gandhi. George was jailed, you know, all the harassment that he went through. One day he arrived in our colony that is called Jamosmania, which is opposite the college where Yoganandji studied, the engineering college. And he came on a bike, on a bullet. There's a gentleman with a handlebar mustache who was driving the bullet, and sitting behind was George. And he came to a colony, and like as it is, he would sit on a floor or somewhere and say, "Ye jo aadmi mere saath aaya hai, isko MLA jitana hai." We didn't even know who he was. His name was Nayan Narasimha Reddy. And later on, he went on to win the Mushirabad election from there, the first time he contested. And that was the history. But politics aside, Ramchandra Rao ji, the ex-MLA, is my classmate we studied in the same college. Kiran Kumar Reddy, who's going to join the BJP, is also my classmate from St. Joseph. We studied together. So a lot of us went through that ABVP history as Yoganandji was suggesting. But today's presentation has nothing to do with that. As I proved with the Mudra loans, whenever I go on news debates, I always ensure that I go prepared with fact, be it Republic or be it anywhere, even Nationalist Hub. Even today, to describe the liquor scandal, my video is being used by some people within BJP to address the entire sequence of events. This is what each one of you should do from the audience. I leave this presentation, it is there with them. It's about 5.2 MB, so it can travel through the Gmail. That I sent it actually through this. So the truth about Telangana, I was told I have 15 minutes, but I said, I begged for him and I said, could you give me another 10 minutes, because by the time I build up the pitch for it, it takes some time to build it up. But I'll run through the slides faster because we have a paucity of time. So let's start with look at the truth about Telangana. These are not my documents. These are documents from the government of Telangana. So tomorrow KTR can't say, or Taneru Harish Rao can't say, or K. Chandrasekhar Rao can't say, or Kavita can't say that these are documents fabricated by Suresh Kochattil. No, these are the documents from the budget. So let's go to the next slide, please. So we're going to counter, in fact, you cannot counter 50 things. Counter 10 top things. That is good enough, because that will bring them down from the horse right now, because they don't like being questioned. They like to just say, Modi ji ne wo bola, 2 crore jobs denge, Modi ji kya kare, Modi ji kya kiya, humne 10 rupees government ko diya, humko 2 rupees mila wapas. All these dialogues you hear day in and day out on Twitter. KTR, of course, has blocked me. So has Barkhadat, so has Rajdeep, so has Shekhar Gupta. Everybody's blocked me. So it doesn't matter, because the guy who handles his account is a very close friend of mine, Dilip Konatham. We worked together in Serlingampalli long back for Vishweshwar ji. Come back to that. Next slide. Yeah, so the first thing that we often are told, I'll move aside so that everybody can see it, that we are a new state. We are the youngest state. Agreed. But remember, you were a part of Andhra Pradesh, the United Andhra Pradesh. And you took away the prize city of Hyderabad by default. Hyderabad approximately accounts for 70% of the state's revenue. And here again, KTR keeps tom-tomming a figure saying, we pay so much of taxes, we pay so much of taxes. The number one taxpayer from the city is the National Mineral Development Corporation, which has no mines in Telangana. Its mines are all in Jharkhand, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Bihar, and all other parts of the country, including northern, near Orissa, that border area also. But since it's headquartered in Hyderabad, that massive tank, they pay the taxes here. It's like Reliance, despite having factories in Jamnagar and elsewhere, pay the taxes in Mumbai. So that figure is there separately. So next time KTR tells you we are the highest taxpayer, ask him who is the highest taxpayer first. You tell me, and he won't have an answer. It is not from his party or his government, but it is from Modi ji's government, or any central government for that matter. So in 2014, when the government came into being, the state had a surplus of 7,500 crore cash. Now it's like this. At that time, I think there was 23 districts, if I'm not mistaken. So it is like if you have to feed 23 people and you had 7,500 crores, you would feed with that money, isn't it? Now suddenly those 23 districts became 10 to 12 districts when Telangana was bifurcated. You still had that cash with you. Okay, so that means you could spend more on that number of districts, because the number of districts had reduced, the amount increased. But today, I mean, this is 22, 23, the figures are not final yet. Harish Rao ji has put a thing called RE, revised estimates, as of when he presented the budget a month ago. He says we will end up with 3,755 crores. We have to take that with a pinch of salt, and this is because the state has borrowed and borrowed and borrowed and borrowed, and I'll show you from the budget document figures, not my figures. Next slide, please. How did they borrow? The state is running into a huge debt trap. Huge is not the word. Look at the amount. In 2015-16, the debt was around 99,000 crores, and you can go through the entire figures. I won't read the entire Dhobi list here. But look at the bottom line. Today we are at 2,83,452 crore. The total budget of Telangana is around 2 lakh crores. Total budget, annual budget. And more than the annual budget, the state has borrowed. So you can write off one complete year's budget as a debt. And debt, when you know, everybody, all of us know, has two components in it, the principal and the interest. Okay? So this is what happens. As the interest keeps flowing up, the principal gets added, and then that amount of 2,83,000 will end up somewhere near 3.75 or 4 crores. Next slide. Okay. Where does Telangana get its revenue from? Liquor. And this is a cash cow for most governments. Two things, fuel and liquor. And you know the tax on petroleum product also has a local tax called a value-added tax, VAT, and this is the highest in the country in Telangana today. That is why petrol and LPG are the highest in the country. RTC buses, TSRTC buses, before they enter Telangana from Karnataka and Maharashtra and Andhra Pradesh, fill up in those bunks and then enter the state to save money. The same thing is happening in Kerala also, because they also have the second highest number, and I come from that state. That is why. Free power to farmers. Okay, the central government, in a unified note agreed by all people in the GST Council, said, let us put meters, individual meters, so that we know how much power is being consumed. Today, I'll tell you, you come and stand in my area. I come from a children of a lesser god area called Sikandrabad. You all live in the posh areas of Serlingam, Palli and Madhapur, but I stay in Sikandrabad, which still has a British component listed along with it. The house where Winston Churchill stayed and all that. So we don't have this kind of luck. Okay, now what happens? You know how much the power is being consumed. Today, battery operated units, battery charging units are located mostly along the corners of the city, from where they take 50 to 60 batteries every day and night to charge to the rural areas, because power is free. Okay, I'm not faulting the farmers for it, but this is the scam that is happening today. But nobody is willing to bell that cat, because every government wants to give free power. And that is what we are seeing in Tamil Nadu, we are seeing in Kerala, we are seeing in Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, everywhere it's going to collapse. The entire system is close to collapse right now. Most of the states in the country are bankrupt, technically bankrupt. Free input subsidy to farmers, Asara pension, free constituency development fund. This is another new scam that has come up. It is like Bhagwan Shiv, you know, he's supposed to have given the maximum number of boons. बोलते क्या चाहिए बोलो तुम्हारे लिए मेरे लिए तपस्या के ये ले लो. That is, I'll finally give it to Basma sir, who tried to put him on his own head. That is what happened. Next slide. Now I'll give you one example. Most of you would have seen this video of Nirmala Sitharaman coming down to Kamareddy and pulling up the Kamareddy district collector. For those of you who haven't watched the video, I'll give you the logic behind it. Rice, subsidized rice under the public distribution scheme is sold at 2 rupees per kilo. When the rice leaves the FCI godown as of today's date, it is 31 rupees the central government pays to the FCI, to the Food Corporation of India, be it Cherlapalli, be it Sanat Nagar, or wherever it is picked up from. The truck has a photograph of KTR in front of it, and the truck leaves the place from there. Of every kilo of rice, which finally sold at 2 rupees, the central government gives around 27 rupees. The state government gives 2 rupees, which means 29, and 2 rupees is collected from the consumer. Imagine Telangana government is so smart, it is paying 2 rupees subsidy and it is collecting 2 rupees back from the consumer. Modi ji's photo is not there anywhere, despite paying 27. And the poor people are told what? KTR's photo is there, KCR's photo is there in the PDS shop. He is giving the rice. This is something that we as intellectuals, so-called intellectuals sitting in the room should realize, because we don't go to the PDS shop. Okay, none of us, most of us don't have a ration card. That is where the thing happens. This is something that Nirmala ji had bought it. Sadly, the local BJP leaders couldn't do it. She had to come from Delhi and expose this particular one. After this, KCR has not spoken, KTR has not spoken about PDS. Not at all. In fact, for 2 full years, Modi government gave rice free of cost, if you remember, during the pandemic. And just after it all. Next slide. Okay, but I tell this, I mean, Yoganand ji is here. When you go and ask for somebody's vote, and I've gone through this phase from 77 onwards, when the Janata Party was there, till now the BJP is there. Each campaign I worked. 2014, I spent 2 months in Varanasi. I was deputed by the Sangh from here to go and work there, took leave and went. Spent 2 months in Modi ji's constituency. For the first time, he was contesting from there. Only one question every person will ask you is, what have you done for me? Every voter will ask you that. Aap mere liye kya kiye? They'll come out with a litany of complaints saying, mere liye ye nahi kiya, prices increase ho gaya, LPG बढ़ गया, वो किया, ये किया, everything will come up. KCR has bribed every section of the population of Telangana. Everyone, including the people sitting in this room. Indirectly or directly, without realizing it. And he's very clear about it. He says, I have given you, you give me. Simple. Your Arkapudi Gandhi is a classic example of, nenu vote meeku double ichchanu, meeku pension ichchanu, now give me the votes. Simple as that. That is what he is demanding, and KCR is demanding. In that case, how do you take up? How is the challenge to take up is expose them that this is how the money is coming to you. He is taking the money from one pocket of yours and putting it in the other pocket. And you as a taxpayer are paying it. Being the poorest guy is also paying tax, remember, not just the income taxpayer. He's paying a GST every time he buys a soap, or he's buying a small packet of chips. Everything is being paid. Okay, so under the scheme, which KCR has given himself 10,000 crores, last from 2,000 crore in last year's budget, 10,000 crores for all the assembly constituencies. So he goes to each assembly constituency, comes to Serlingampalli tomorrow and says, I am going to give you 5 crores, enjoy, or 10 crores. Now the electorate in that constituency gets influenced. Arey 10 crore diya, 10 crore nak ichindu. Whether the money finally comes, into whose pocket it goes, a different thing. 10,000 crores is there from this budget has been allocated. Even the Prime Minister of India doesn't have this prerogative, that he controls this fund. Here CM decides everything. No audit, nothing. Whether it's been implemented, not implemented, nothing, nobody knows. The money just goes. That's it, period. Next. Okay, 2-bedroom houses. We spoke about it, the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana. Other day I was traveling in a train, which is one of the unique things because nowadays nobody travels in trains. So I was coming back from my hometown of Kerala after my daughter's wedding happened in Hyderabad, the reception in Kerala. I was coming back just a couple of months ago and I passed by Bibi Nagar. That's where the train slows down, you know, because quite often. And I saw a lot of 2-bedroom houses. All of them had one nomenclature written on it, PMAY, and then GHMC. All the houses, be it in Kollur, be it in Shamirpet, which is next to the Alankrita resorts, by the way, and then in, you know, places like Bibi Nagar, all these 2-bedroom houses have the maximum contribution from Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, both urban and Gramin. But when it comes to the ribbon cutting, you know who cuts the ribbon. We all know that because he knows, he gets all the television camera guys. So what are the poor things? Just like the ration thing, PDS, the poor things are a KCR mak illichindu. Are you able to counter that? As volunteers, it is our job to tell, boss, PDS rice mein 27 rupees is given by Modi ji. In the PMAY or the Gramin, these houses are given by Modi ji. State government has given only 10% contribution or 20% contribution. We are not able to communicate that. And people like me break our heads on television channels where others come and fight like cats and dogs. But they are not prepared to listen to data. Next slide. One more thing is there. Even if you look at, if you build I saw one in Kollur on the highway the other day on the ORR. Nobody's staying there. Bibi Nagar, nobody's staying there. Shamirpet, nobody's staying there. Because those people who are going to occupy those houses are maid servants, daily wage workers, these kind of people. People from the lower strata of the society, economically disadvantaged. For them, they have to come to the city to work. A maid usually comes, finishes the work in 5-6 houses and goes back to her house, which is just, say, half a kilometer away. Let's say, will she go back to Kollur? Will she go back to Bibi Nagar? That is why none of those houses have been occupied. And of course, there is a scam behind it that TRS, MLAs and MPs decide. The High Court said nothing doing. You cannot do that. The collector has to decide. So all are stuck. No houses have been allocated. And we saw how many Modi ji gave and how many KTR gave. He comes only for ribbon cutting. Go back and analyze all the 2-bedroom houses allocated till now and see how many have been occupied. Next slide, please. Now look at the figures. I won't bore you with these figures, but very, very important component. In 21-22 actuals, in the budget, this is from Telangana government's budget document, the total expenditure was 2,50,272 crores, includes pensions, salaries, every other program. But look at the debt component. The Telangana government paid 76,000 crores as payment for debt. That means for the loans which they had taken. 1/3 of your budget went into payment of debt. How can you survive? If you're running a household, you know that. If you're earning a salary of 1 lakh, if you pay 30 to 40,000 as your debt, you won't survive after some time. Because the debt will keep on increasing after a point in time. So next year, this year, the revised estimates is brought it down to 11,702. Let us see what happens. And of course, 12,706 for next year. Look at the borrowings now. He has already paid the debt. Now look at the borrowings. He paid the debt using the borrowings. So that means he took new loan. It is like those personal loan mafia who operate in the Twin Cities through those apps. They give you new loans to pay back your old loans. This is exactly what is being done. 1,19,000 crores was borrowed to pay 76,000 crores. So still he has a surplus in hand of borrowed money. And money doesn't come free. Somebody is charging interest for it. I'll leave this slide for you. This year borrowing is 50,000 crores. Okay? But his payment is showing us in 11,000 crores, which means 40,000 crore he's putting in his pocket to spend for something else. Borrowed money. 46,000 crores for next year, and the payment is being made is only 12,000 crores. These, if you analyze, it will take me a long time to explain, but I don't have the luxury for that. Please warn me 10 minutes before that, I'll stop. Next slide, please. I won't get into this expenditure, outlay, everything. It's a huge scam. Huge, huge scam. These are the budget documents, not from mine. This is the latest budget of 23-24. Next slide. Salaries, 26,000 crores were paid as salaries last year. And he wants to give more jobs. Give jobs, boss. Definitely give jobs if you have the money to pay. Don't hike up liquor, registration charges, automobile registration charges, land registration charges, apartment registration charges, and then say, oh, I have now a surplus with me. You're squeezing every bit from the guy who's paying. Next one. 14,000 crores as pensions. Imagine, that's huge again. I'll not get into this. Next slide also, you can move it. I will give only one part. Look at this. Always KTR has this dialogue. Central government maku em iyatledu, em iyatledu, em iyatledu. That is, central government doesn't give us anything. Look at the second part of it. Okay, first part of it, devolution. This is as per the 14th Finance Commission. In 23-24, the state share in central taxes is estimated 21,471 crores, an increase of 9%. And what does KTR say? Central government doesn't give me money. And his own government is saying, I got 9% more, I'm going to get next year. Look at the second point. Grants from the center. Grant means you don't have to pay it back. It is not a loan, it's a grant. So it may be for building a bridge, making a road, Pradhan Mantri Gramin Sadak Yojana, the various other schemes of Modi ji that happens. Grants, even including National Rural Health Mission. You won't believe every primary health center in Telangana, today, not just Telangana, even in Andhra, takes funds from Modi government to build it under the NHRM, National Rural Health Mission. 10 years I worked in the healthcare sector, so I can tell you how this happens. Every bit is squeezed from the central government, but getting up in the morning and first abusing Modi ji, that is the bhajan these people do. Second one, grants on center in 23-24 is estimated 441,250, increase of 36% over 22-23, the year which is ending now in another few days' time, in March. Again, I'm not getting into all that, but you look at the entire thing is borrowed money, money from the central government. But at the same time, first thing they tell you is Modi ji didn't give us anything, Modi ji said nothing, Modi ji, Nirmala Sitharaman ji is not giving us money. Next slide, please. Okay, I'm not getting into, but there's only one thing which I already mentioned. Look at the share of central taxes going up consistently, 18,000 to 19,668. He says, I don't have money. Okay, that is what central government doesn't give money. Already we talked about the grants. It went up from 8,619, the central government grant, 21-22 to 30,250. That is how it's increasing. It will increase to 41,000, from 8,600 to 41,000 in just 3 years. That is the kind of increase of grants coming from the central, but Modi ji is not giving me any money. And public believes it because we don't have the data to bash him on it. And here is the data. Go challenge these guys now. Okay, now look at it. State GST. Okay, there are two components of GST. All of you know, when you go to a restaurant or when you buy anything, there is a central government GST and there is a state government GST. The state GST is kept in the state. The central GST goes to the center, and as per the norms of the 14th and now the 15th Finance Commission, a certain portion is given back to the states. Okay, so that's called a devolution there. Look at the state GST, 28,000 to 44,000. That is how it is increased by 22%. Sales tax has gone up from 26 to 39. How did this come? Increase in liquor, increase in fuel, increase in registration charges for land and automobiles. Taxes on vehicles, look at that, 4,000 to 7,000. State excise from 17,000 to 19,000, daru, liquor. Stamp registration from 12,000 to 8. These are the main revenue. There is no revenue from anywhere else. Liquor, petrol, registration. Jitna milna usse se khinch lo. That is a strategy. This again, you can see it's all from the Telangana budget of 23-24. Next slide. But look at that, go back one minute, please, just go back to the previous slide. Look at what, all of you got your bills last 2 months. You must have suddenly noticed a component called tax. There was no electricity tax before. Now KCR has realized that somebody has to pay for the free electricity of farmers. He started taxing the people who pay the bills. Okay, there's one part of the city which never pays the bills. I'm not getting into that dispute. One zone in the city is notorious. The so-called transmission and distribution losses are 70%, which is a euphemism for theft. 70% chori hota hai city ke ek zone mein as per the government records. So the people who pay have to pay more because those fellows are stealing it. Okay, that is a great logic, boss. 912 crores. Now look at that, from 548 crores, an increase of 2,789%. Every kind of resource is being now pushed and taken away. Next slide. Revenue and fiscal balance, you're seeing everywhere it is down. Those two blue dots you see on top are all revised estimates. Those are the budgeted estimates. So we'll see the true picture later on. Next slide. Everywhere it's minus for Telangana. Look at the outstanding liabilities. It went up from 24%, now it's at 25%. The number might look very small in percentage term, but when you look at the total budget of 2 lakh crores, it's a huge jump. Next slide. Okay, now I took 6 sectors and I said, let us look at the 6 important sectors with KCR, Harish Taneru and everybody of the TRS says, we have invested more than what the rest of the states in the country are doing. This again is from the budget documents, not from my document. From the budget document it says, which a comparison has been done by external audit agency, is that education, Telangana has allocated 7.6% of its expenditure towards education, 23-24, the coming budget from April 1st. This is lower than the average allocation for education by states, which is at 14%, half of it. If across the nation states are spending 14 to 15%, Telangana is spending, and then what does the guy say? And recently we saw many schools in the state don't have single student, the government schools. Different story. Next one, please. Health. Again, something that they keep tom-tomming. Oh, we're going to spend a lot on healthcare. We are spending so much, out-of-pocket expenses are reducing. Again, money taken from Government of India, National Rural Health Mission, and put it in their budget. Those figures are there with me separately. Again, in spite of that, it is only 5%, which means the state is putting only 2%. And look at the other states, they're putting 6.3%. These again, budgeted documents, you can see the graphs there coming from the budget. Next slide. Rural development, another favorite area for KCR. हमने इतना खर्च किया rural माना चेस्तुन्नाम इच्चेस्तुन्नाम सिद्धिपेटलो चेस्तुन्नाम. He goes on with a list of Dobby list of things. 3.6, that is all they've been allocated this year. 5.7 nationally across the country. Next slide. Urban development. Serlingampally is a classic case. Now you know why the drainage leaks, why the roads are so bad, is because it's just 2.8% of the budget. We pay such a huge amount of taxes. Now KTR complains, हम 100 रुपए देते हैं, हमको 50 रुपए वापस मिलता है. अरे यार, if I am giving taxes from Serlingampally, why are you spending in Siddipet? Spend everything here only, no? That should be the logic, isn't it? But that doesn't work that way. Let us understand that. Okay, because almost Hyderabad must be contributing 80% of the state tax revenues. But Hyderabad gets only about 10 to 15%. Rest is spent in the districts because they don't generate that kind of cash. That is the problem. Okay, I'll now stop at some time because there's a lot of slides after this. But anyway, police in Telangana 3.6 to 4.3. Next slide, please. Roads and bridges 3.7, 4.5. Everywhere we are down. And go on, you can skip the slides because I've been given a red flag. So debt repayment, I told you, from 9,139 to 76,000 in 2021. That's the last financial year. How much has it gone up by? 733% debt payment. These are all hidden from citizens like you and me. Because we don't go into the finer details. We don't question them. Because even if we question them, he will have some way of using his chamchas to kind of get after you on Twitter or wherever it is. Next slide. Taxes on electricity, I showed you. 17 to 27% is increased. Next one. Okay, I'm just go back a bit. One slide. I just said the new airport metro, 6,500 crores is the estimate. Now it will end up in 10,000 crores. No metro in the world makes money except for 2 metros. One thing is London, another one, I'm not sure which one it is. No metro makes money because they make money from real estate. That is from the properties surrounding it where they put up malls and other things. On ticket prices, you can never make money. All they needed to do was extend the railway track from Umdanagar to the airport, which is 2.5 kilometers. Till date, the RGI authorities have refused to do that because there is a taxi mafia that is running there. Okay? If that 2.5 kilometers had been extended, people could have traveled from high-tech city in an MMTS train there. Whether they'll do it or not is a different thing. Even now, they'll not do it. Do you expect a guy from a gated community traveling with 5 pieces of luggage to come to Raidurg metro station, carry all the luggage up, put it in the train and travel to high-tech airport, get down again and drag all the luggage? It will not happen. Delhi airport metro flopped for that reason. Ambani had to exit, Anil Ambani, because of that. So let us learn from history. This is purely, pardon me, Mr. Yuganji, but to support those real estate guys in that area. It's not going to work for anything else. And mark my words, this is going to be a white elephant again, just like the white elephants we are having now. Next slide. KCR again, I'm not getting into it. Okay, look at the inflation, very important. Highest in the country. Okay, Telangana, you see that both FY22 and FY23 even going to be higher at 9% because of the local VAT on fuel, which is why it's gone up so much. That is why average inflation across the country is around 7%. Telangana is doing 9% inflation. Next slide. Next slide. I'll skip all this. No, go back. Next. Telangana has the highest, third highest suicide by farmers in the country. Data from the Government of India site. After Karnataka, Maharashtra, Telangana has the highest. Next. Next slide. Skip all this. Okay, go back. One argument, we can use the slide later. I'll ask Srinivas to share this with you guys. That how much do we give to the center? How much do we get back? Look at Maharashtra, which is the commercial capital, including Mumbai. Okay, it gets back 7.7 rupees out of the 100 rupees it gives. And KTR says, sabko UP ko de diya, Bihar ko de diya. It didn't happen yesterday, but it's been happening from generations. Unless those states come up to the level where they can support themselves financially, they will have to keep funding. It is like Hyderabad giving money to Siddipet and Warangal and Kamareddy and other places. We have to support them till they come up to our state and start earning money. Next slide. Okay, this is a huge presentation, but I'll not get into it. As of 31st, the CAG report says that most of the public sector undertakings in the state are in a loss. 62 of them, just 5 of them are making money. Can you come to that, please? Next slide. Only 5 companies. Singareni, which is jointly owned by Government of India and Government of Telangana, by the way. Telangana State Power Corporation, just 168 crores. Transmission, 206 crores. Forest Development, 51 crores. Only 1 company declared dividend, which means other 3 are fake accounts. They are audited, but they are not sure of whether those numbers are. Next slide. Now look at the losses now. This is why you are getting taxed. This is the free power ka problem. Look at the losses. The government is not paying the Transco and the Genco for the money being given, the free power being given to farmers. Those losses are now in the range of 25,000 crores. Revant Reddy says it's 60,000 crores, but I will discount that political narrative. It must be around 25,000 crores now. Government of India gave 10,000 crores last year to pay the loans to the Transco. Government of India gives money and KTR says, oh, Government of India doesn't give us any money. Transco is in deep debt. If any other company was there, they would have been declared bankrupt by now. Next slide. Okay, huge losses. As I told you, net accumulated loss of state PSUs are 59,000 crores. As a result, net worth of 30 PSUs are completely wiped out. Net worth, bankrupt. But not a word about it. Next slide. Out of 66, this is all, I'll leave it to you, but you can just make out all this. Yeah, next slide, next slide. Keep moving, please. Yeah, go back one slide. I just want to show people, just one slide back, please. Shortage of teachers leading to zero enrollment. Zero enrollment in many schools. This is the latest article in Deccan Chronicle, happened just a week ago. Next slide. Keep moving. I don't want to show all this because we don't have time. Okay, we talked about the insurance scheme for farmers set up by Modi ji. KCR refused to accept it. He says, I have my own right to insurance scheme. That scheme never took off. As a result, farmers, any farmer suffering a losses due to the crop, due to a hailstorm, flood, whatever it is, pesticide, pest attack or whatever it is, cannot claim a single paisa insurance. But if they're taken under Modi ji, that would have, they would have paid at least 70 to 80% of the money they would have got back. Nothing of that sort is happening. Next. That's it. Same thing. Insurance failure. There's no insurance. Next slide, next slide, next slide. Keep moving, please. Okay, the outstanding debt, I showed you. See the graph going up. How much money they're borrowing each time. Next slide. Okay. Chart-wise borrowing, you see, the top borrowings are 2 states, AP and Telangana. Both are borrowing like crazy because to pay for the freebies. Next slide. Okay, very interesting news. I know many of you not know this AIMS. People have stopped going to Gandhi Hospital and Usmania and are preferring to go to AIMS, BB Nagar. Because the care, the quality, the machinery, the infrastructure is beautiful. Patients from Maharashtra and Karnataka are coming there. I'm not saying this on data of record. In fact, I tweeted to Ashwini Vaishnavji also saying that you should set up a station in BB Nagar where this train stop. BB Nagar has a station, but the trains from Maharashtra and Karnataka need to stop there. So the patients can get off or get in, at least for 2 to 3 minutes.
Yeah, Suresh, you should tell them that AIMS is central government run, right?
Yeah, the All India Institute of Medical Sciences, which Modi ji initially, only one was set up in the, we all know in Delhi. All people think IIT Delhi again was, apart from AIMS, IIT Delhi was set up by Nehru ji. No, sorry, it was set up by the Soviets, for your information. Next slide. Culture of freebies, all this is happening. Revenue is nothing, assets zero in the books. Next slide, next slide, next slide. Keep going, please. Just go back. Kaleshwaram project. The biggest white elephant which will wipe out the government of Telangana's entire money. Entire money. Look at the amounts borrowed for this project. 97,000 crores have been borrowed from these banks and REC and Power Finance Corporation and NABARD. The payment is started last year, which is why you saw the debt go up to 70,000 crores. The average interest rate is 9 to 10%. They are not, chup ke baithe hue public ka paisa unke paas. They have to pay back the depositors their money. Look at the amount, 97,000. 90,000 of Kaleshwaram's money has been borrowed. Next slide. Worse, the payments are already started. Look at this. Every year, this is a lift irrigation project, which means you have to lift the water from a certain source and bring it up. It's not a gravity flow. You have to use huge pumps to run it. And that will cost 14,000 crores worth of power has to be paid for every year. What for? Why do you make this white elephant? Okay, it's a great project. It's generating a lot of irrigation water, but the Pranahita project, it was initially started by the Congress. The Pranahita Chevella project, it was called that by that name. It has got conceptualized from 40,000 crores. Initial budget, it went up to 1,38,000 crores. Who pocketed it? We all know. I won't take names. Next. I already have half a dozen cases against me, including a death threat. I can't afford any more. Okay. In order to maintain the system, Telangana government every financial year, out of the 2 lakh budget they have to put aside 25,000 crores just to service this debt and power charges. 25,000 crores. And nobody talks about all this. This is hidden under the carpet. Okay, it's all great. Next slide. Next slide. I want this all. I'll leave it to you so that it can be shared with everybody, so they can know how it happens. How much does 1 TMC of this one water take? How many crops can it irrigate? All the data is in this. Next slide. Yeah. The cost of supplying water will be 2,50,000 to each acre, including repayment structure. Next slide. Next. And then there's more. Okay, I can go on and on, but I know he'll switch off my the laptop if I don't stop now. But thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, I do this often. I do this kind of presentations almost twice or thrice every month. I get invited to a lot of management colleges. Did one in Amrita Institute in Cochin last month. Keep doing all this presentation because people need to realize. There I spoke about Kerala's budget. Here I spoke about Telangana's budget. Tomorrow I invited to Andhra Pradesh. I'll speak about Andhra Pradesh budget. But we as citizens, we need to know this. We can't be just going and arguing for the sake of arguing. Bring the facts out, say, these are the facts, now tell me. When your MLA comes to your house, tell me, boss, bolo, ye paisa kaun dega? Mere paas se kyun le rahe ho paisa? The guy will immediately leave your house. That is why, sorry, I don't know whether questions can be taken now, but that's a prepaid meter you're talking of. The prepaid meter works on a concept called like your mobile phone. You have a postpaid and a prepaid. Okay, you prepaid, what happens? You keep topping it up. The idea is that some people pay a fixed charge even if you don't consume it. For example, if you take a 3-phase, there is a...
Why are we forced by this government?
See, that because, as I told you, who will service the debt? The free power, kaun dega? When the farmers are consuming, say, almost 1 lakh crore of power every year, you need an entire Kottagudam to run Kaleshwaram. Entire new power project you need. That's why they set up one state government power project in Kottagudam. This, ladies and gentlemen, is something that we as intellectuals know so much. Imagine the poor people, the illiterate, I won't call them illiterate, the uneducated, they won't even know all this. For them, मेरे को KCR ने 2000 का pension दिया, खत्म, matter ends. I'll vote for him. He has given me rice at 2 rupees. I will vote for him. But tell him the debt trap, they won't know this logic. At least people like you and me and others should understand this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Suresh ji.